Hey guys, um, welcome back to my channel. I thought I'd record record a video today, and just wanted to rant about some stuff in general, specifically about tarot, as I usually like to do. Because I've had some thoughts, I've had some things going on and stuff like that, and I just feel like there's some stuff I need to get off my chest. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. But like, there's a lot of nonsense going on in the tarot like community or whatever. And I mean, I just recently wrote my book, and I've had some. Well, I've had some difficulties trying to promote it and everything like that. So I don't know what. So let's just back off a little bit and start at the beginning. So as you may have heard on my previous videos and my demonstrations and stuff like that, I wrote a book recently about a new method on tarot divination based on poker, right? So you create a poker spread and you read the cards and stuff like that. And obviously that was like the result of a long interest in cartomancy in general, and just combining the tarot and learning about open readings and starting to use pip decks, as they're referred to in the scene, which I've come to believe are much superior to the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition and stuff like that. And the whole problem that I'm starting to notice, and that's starting to frustrating me basically, is that the RWS has become. It's become dominant, let's say, to such a degree that people are unable to think of the tarot in any other way. And not only that, it's become such a staple, let's say, that tarot divination has become kind of a shovelware kind of thing. And there's hardly any distinction between people doing readings online. There's no quality control, let's say. That shows up in multiple forms. So you have both like the market, the tarot market, and the consumers themselves, let's say, the target audience of the products that are being sold, as well as the end consumers, let's say, of the people who are going to people reading the cards for them. It's just one big vicious circle. And so I wanted to start at the beginning, which is the product itself, right? And I've talked about this before, about how publishers work, right? I did a few videos about Fournier and about their approach to tarot and things like that. And obviously Fournier is or was an interesting case study, because it was bought up by US Games, and US Games was bought up by Cartamundi, right? And those three were basically originally were like the three big kahunas in the card making business. And I'm not just referring to tarot, but to cards in general, decks of playing cards in all different shapes and sizes. But obviously, with Fournier, you can tell that there's still, and that's my personal, because Fournier is also the creator of the bicycle cards, right? So they and other card games and things like that as well. And and that's also why their tarot decks are so widely available as well, because that's just their market, right? So people who buy Fournier decks, they also end up buying their tarot decks, because they just buy stuff in bulk, and it ends up being available like at supermarkets and and how do you say, tobacco shops and stuff like that. But so what I find interesting, and U.S. games as well, right? So if you look at a standard, let's see if I can find mine. If you look at a standard bicycle deck, right? It has, and let me see where my camera is. From the makers of Bicycle, and it says B, Aristocrat, Hoyle, and Fournier. But it also says, let's see if that's where that is. Bicyclecards.com. I think it's one of the jokers. There you go. So it says guarantee, right? It has a warranty card, and if you send this one in, a defective card, they replace the deck for you, stuff like that. But it says, so the company is the United States Playing Card Company. So I suspect, I'm not sure, but I think that's the case. That is the same company as US Games, right? Which makes like the Rider-Waite Smith decks and a bunch of other decks, and it's one of the biggest tarot manufacturers. So one of the biggest gripes I have with tarot overall, right, is that there's not an industry standard of quality, right? And that is very how do you say, very egregious, right? So because in contrast to playing cards, which have an industry standard, and they're made for like, so there's a casino standard for playing cards, right? So they have this linen finish. They have a certain quality that they're expected to have to be able to be sold to casinos and stuff like that, which is funny, which is ironic even, because casinos obviously, it's a world of vice, right? It's like, but there's a lot of money there, right? But for some reason, the tarot packs, which are made by the same companies, are not held to the same standard, which is endlessly frustrating, especially now that I have released my book, right? Which basically combines tarot with poker and tries to and I truly believe, and it might take 20 years, I might be ahead of my time, and it might even be ignored until the day I die, and as it usually happens with works of genius or whatever, but I truly believe it's the next step in the evolution of tarot and cartomancy in general, at least in terms of like how do we approach the cards and stuff like that. And for me, I've included in the appendix, I've included a chapter or an appendix about cards, decks that I recommend, right, for combining poker with tarot. And obviously my preference goes out to pip decks first off. So forget about the Rider-Waite Smith tradition. Better go back to the Marseille Tarot, or even better yet, get yourself a tarot deck with French suits, right? Like this one, I could show you, and it might, I could do a little review or flip through while I'm talking about this, right? And this deck is one of the few exceptions of what I'm trying to talk about, right? So this one is a tarot deck made up of playing cards, but also made to the industry standard, the casino standard as it's called, with linen finish, poker-sized cards. I mean, they don't have to be poker-sized in my opinion, but I prefer poker-sized because they just feel nice to me. I don't know. You also have bridge-sized cards and stuff like that. And I did end up buying the Genoese tarot. I've ordered it now. I'm waiting for it to arrive. And once it arrives, I will do a flip through and a review of it, because I haven't heard anyone talk about it in terms of it being a deck viable, a viable divinatory deck, let's say, right? And obviously, not barely anyone has talked about this deck either. The Arcana Tarot playing card deck, which it's a decent deck. I'm not crazy about it, especially because it follows the Rider-Waite tradition and the numbering, and also it does this weird thing where the knights are jacks, and so it kept the J for the knights, which I find, yeah, because personally I'm more inclined to associate the jacks with the pages, so I would have preferred if the pages were the jacks and the knights got their own number. And there's another deck that does that. That's the standard playing cards tarot, which has the knights with a C. But that deck, first off, is sold out, so I can't get it, which is a shame because it's really beautiful. But it's also a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and I'm kind of tired of those. I don't want to use those anymore. But either way, you know, it's still a pip deck. It's very beautiful. I mean, it's got some faces are a bit off, in my opinion, but it's still very, very nice, you know. And it's just a good example of what I'm actually looking for and what I actually want to start collecting and maybe producing. You know, I would like to make my own deck, and if I make my own deck, it's going to be, you know, this type of cards, because these are just the best. They shuffle the best. They are the most sturdy. They last the longest, and they're used for, like, you know, they're also used for magic tricks and stuff like that. So, you know, they're made to last. So, well, you know, on the other hand, you know, you have this one, for example, which I've showed previously, like the Playing Marseille, which I love in theory. It's a beautiful deck, but it just feels like cardboard, and it's pretty thick. It's not good quality, and you can't riffle shuffle these, right? So if I try doing that with these, I can't bend them. I barely. I mean, maybe if with some, you know, and but it just doesn't work. It just, you know, and it's a shame because it's a beautiful deck. I would have loved to have this in casino quality, on casino quality cards, you know. And I hate having to call it casino quality. It should be like, you know, I mean, it should be universal. Like, basically, the tarot deck should have, at the bare minimum, should have this quality. And that doesn't mean it has to always be poker size. You know, for example, you have the Keymaster Tarot, which I've showed previously as well, which is just very nice. And even if it doesn't have the linen finish, it just shuffles really well, and it has the same kind of quality, but you can tell it's a bigger size, right? And, you know, and if I try to shuffle these, it works just fine. I have to see if I can do it right now, because I'm still practicing. Oh, wait, see. That's what I mean. Yeah, see, works just fine. It's a perfectly fine deck. And again, but this is made by a playing cards creator, right? So he knows what he's doing. So you can tell that this is quality cardstock, even though it's of a different style and finish than standard playing cards. But so I've been scouring the net, trying to find the perfect deck for me to use, and I ended up getting this one. Let me show you on my screen. If we go to what was it again? Let me just Genoese Tarot. Here you go. Letra de Ganello, right? So I ordered this one, and it looks really nice. Like, I'm very happy with this, and you can tell that it's a traditional tarot as well, right? So it has the let me see here. It has the major arcana. Here you go. So the Empress, the Emperor, the Pope. It has the full card somewhere. It doesn't. It's not on this. There's another edition as well, which is a bit cheaper, but I got the green one after all. Even though, no, sorry, this one is more expensive. But here you can see the full, right? Things like that. So it's a very pretty deck, and I'm really excited to see what it has to offer. But this one is bridge size. So anyway, so that's one thing, right? And I also wanted to show the other thing, which I found very. I mean, we all know that to be the case, but it's just something I want to emphasize, right? So if we come here, right? Let's go to Temu.com. It's already remembered that I was looking for tarot cards, right? And you can tell. So all the mass market decks that are available on Temu. And the thing with Temu, and I mean, I don't know if you didn't know that, but Temu is selling the factory surplus that the companies that produce, that have their decks or their stuff in general, right? Not just cards. All the products that are produced in China, Temu keeps a surplus from the factory and sells it at a discount. So if you want a cheap deck, right? Let's say you want the Playing Marseille, right? I know I've seen it here. For example, you have the Bellatro deck, right? Let's see if I can find it. Playing Marseille, Tarot. Let's see if I can find it like that. I can't find it right now, but I've seen it before, right? But also decks like Fournier's, Ducale deck, Jeu de Tarot. I'm pretty sure this is Fournier, or else it's Piatnik. No, I think it's Piatnik, right? But all these major manufacturers, they all, or for example, Fyodor Pavlov's tarot, right? That's supposed to be like an indie deck. It's not an indie deck, right? It's manufactured in China and all that stuff. And obviously, I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing, but like, why would you give like $50 or 30 or 20 on Amazon or like any other bookstore or spiritual store for a tarot deck if you can get it for like $5 from China, right? There's literally no reason to do that. So obviously I would suggest purchase your decks from either indie manufacturers like Artisan Tarot or like whatever. Those are way more expensive though, but you know what I mean. And those are casino quality as well. They have linen finish and everything, or like from Usu or whatever, or else from like what's the other one? Shuffled Ink, right? Shuffled Ink is a company that has a factory in Florida, so you know what you're getting there. And obviously, I'm not saying that this is bad, but like, if you want to believe that the tarot has some sort of magical, spiritual power or whatever, that personally I cannot accept that if it's mass produced in such a way, and they're exploiting people in the sweatshops and stuff to produce their cards and whatever, that you can rely on them for divination and stuff like that, right? And obviously, personally, I'm a pretty secular tarot reader. I don't believe the cards themselves have anything magical about them. That's not to say that I don't believe in like spiritual, spirituality or whatever. But I don't think the cards themselves have anything magical per se, right? I think the magic happens in the random number generator, let's say, that is the deck itself and the shuffling of the deck, right? But at the same time, when we as customers are purchasing these decks, we're telling these manufacturers that it's okay to do this, right? That it's okay to, first off, mass produce them in China. Second, produce second-rate decks, right? Because tarot is not produced to a quality standard like playing cards are, which is completely absurd because tarot cards should have a higher quality standard than playing cards because they're not used in the same way. They should be viewed as a family heirloom, as something that you can pass on from generation to generation. They should be handled with respect. And obviously, because they're handled with, but that's the thought process behind it. Because they're handled with respect and they're not shuffled as much as playing cards, that means they don't need to be of the same high quality as playing cards need to be, right? So, and that's just absurd to me. It has to be the other way around. So it's much better, obviously, to. But at the same time, on the other hand, you have Kickstarters, you have all this stuff going on, and all these supposedly indie decks. But they also go to China to have them manufactured, and at some point, if they're successful, they're being bought up by U.S. Games or whatever, and they mass produce them in the end. After all, and it's the same with the playing Marseille. It says here on the box. Where was it again? Pretty sure. Stanford CT USA. Oh no, I can't find it. Oh, here you go. Underneath the barcode, it says "Made in China," right? Right here. So that's one thing, right? The consumer, because the thing is, like, we're in an interesting time now that consumers are, especially in gaming, right, video games and stuff like that. We've had a whole lot of developments. We stopped killing games and trying to get legal. How do you say? Legal precedents, let's say, to stop companies from deleting our games once we've purchased them, after we've purchased them and stuff like that. And obviously, I'm not saying that is necessary for tarot as well. But what I am trying to say is that we need to find a way to encourage quality, and high standard for the card stock and for the cards that we're getting, rather than producing like thousands of tarot decks that are all the same, right? They're all based on Rider-Waite-Smith, most of them. Like 99% of the mass-produced decks, of the new decks that are coming out, are all Rider-Waite-Smith decks, and they have the wrong numbering with strength as Trump number 8 and Justice as number 11 and stuff like that, which personally I find, I mean, it's okay if it happens like in a few decks here and there, but that shouldn't be the standard, right? And I don't know, I don't want to, because I don't have any brand affiliation or whatever. I don't want to push you to go to Artisan Tarot or to go to Marseille Heritage, which, by the way, Marseille Heritage, right, or Grimaud or whatever. Like, if you look at my Grimaud Tarot of Paris, right, which is the only true facsimile deck I have in my collection, right, which is this one. Honestly, the cards are kind of crap, right? I can riffle shuffle those. They're pretty okay in that regard. And the corners, I mean, okay, I get that is classic. That's the way they used to be. But, I mean, come on, guys. Wait, I should show the deck. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, the game has evolved past that. We need better cards. What is this? I mean, can we just get a decent... we can retouch those. They don't have to be like remade, reconstructed per se, right? There's the reconstruction version by Gergely Bagameri or whatever his name is, and all that stuff. But like, so I wouldn't say that this is the right alternative per se, right? But like, you do have Cartamundi, you do have, and I'm not sure if Cartamundi. I should check actually if let me see, because that should be, because AGM is Cartamundi as well. So my Keymaster Tarot should have a few hints about where it's produced, but I'm pretty sure it's China as well. Actually, I should look on Temu. Let's see what it says. If it says anything in the booklet, because otherwise I'd have to go grab the box, and I don't have that. I don't have that here. It doesn't say. I don't think it says. I don't think it says where it's made. I should check on Temu. Let's see if we can find the Keymaster Tarot on Temu. Keymaster Tarot. Yeah, okay. I can't find it. So let's keep that one. It might be legit, right? It might be produced in Belgium or whatever, because Cartamundi is Belgian. So obviously Cartamundi owns all these companies now, right? Fournier, US Games are all Cartamundi now. And they also produce trading card games and stuff like that. And that's something we don't talk about either, right? You have to understand, tarot and playing cards and trading card games and collectible cards like those football cards and stuff like that. It's all one and the same industry. We absolutely cannot fool ourselves in thinking that because tarot is like a spiritual like practice and whatever, that these cards are not produced by the same like big wigs that own these other companies and products, right? And we need, if we want to keep talking about this like it's some sort of spiritual practice and not like some stupid collectible thing, we need to start holding them to a higher standard, or we need to take production into our own hands and start producing decks that are quality, are built and are made to an ethical and quality standards, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is the community, obviously, and I'm gonna show you a few things here, right? Because I've been struggling to get my point across on Reddit, right? And there's one subreddit, for example, R Tarot, and there's multiple ones. I'm on multiple Reddits here. I'm on Tarot Decks. I'm on Tarot Practice. I'm on Tarots with an S, and I'm on r/cartomancy, right? But like these groups are so inundated with spammers and wannabe fortune tellers that are offering their services, quote unquote services, be they free or or whatever, that they have developed like a whole system of rules that are just so toxic that you can't make a normal post unless you're just can I get help with my cards? I have this reading here, and like you can't post your reading if you're not explaining each and every card. Well, personally, I'm not even of the opinion that each and every card should have a meaning, right? So personally, in my opinion, the pips don't have meanings by themselves. The pips only have meaning in the context of a reading, of a spread, by combining them with each other, right? And only the major arcana and the court cards are actually what are defining the meaningful moments within the spread, while the pips are basically just the rhythm that is taking place, right? So the mood swings in a particular reading or in a particular circumstance that you're trying to convey, and stuff like that. That's how I'm starting to think about it, and that's how my poker system also works, right? So if you have 5 cards, right, I can try demonstrating this. If you have I don't need to shuffle the cards for this. I'm just going to lay them down and show you what I kind of mean. Hopefully I can do that, right? Let's just take 5 cards. I don't need all 7 of them. I don't need to do the whole spread. Right, so we got 2 court cards, Here, this is cartomancy even. There's not even a major arcana here, right? Major trump. So we have a 3, a 2, and a 5, right? And the three of wands. Ones are about like ideas and like social, how do you say, social gatherings and about work and stuff like that. The spades are about difficulties, and the coins, sorry, the diamonds are about like financial and physical matters. Let's say, right? So we go from a 3 to a 2 to a 5, right? So the 3 could be like, you know, getting together with a couple of friends, or having like a short-term partnership or something like that. Well, the 2 of swords, usually 2 of spades. The way I see it, like, refers to like some friction here and there. And so when we have 2 spades here, and we have the two court cards, right? The queen and the page. Those could be the people who have that friction amongst themselves. They had a partnership first, but now they have some difficulties here. And then we have the five of coins, which is usually 5 of diamonds. I mean, which is like, it could be like a dinner. They're having a dinner together, and they're making up over their differences, or whatever, something like that. So, or like they have a shared value, something like that. There's different interpretations, and obviously I don't have a question right now, so that makes it a bit harder. But I hope you understand where I'm trying to go with this, right? So the pips themselves don't hold any meaning as such, right? They just show you a certain trajectory or direction of where the reading is going, and then they show you like the amount of that element in your reading, right? And obviously this is not a hand right now, so this is a high card. But you get what I mean, I hope. And obviously this is, I'm still experimenting, I'm still learning myself, right? It's not like I know all the answers and stuff like that, but I'm trying to get the point across that this whole thing about like interpreting each and every card is redundant. It's not necessary, right? You can do much more with much less. But that doesn't mean that the pips aren't necessary. The pips are, in my opinion, are, how would I say, are even more important when they're not illustrated like in the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition, right? The pips are not individual cards. They're the glue that holds the reading together. They're like the concrete, rather than the blocks themselves, or rather than the keystone or the whatever, right? But they're nonetheless important. So, but so this whole mentality has permeated the whole community, and now we you can't even, I can't talk about my book online. I can't showcase my system because my posts get deleted because I don't bother explaining each and every card. And I mean, I could write a bunch of bullshit about what each card means, but I don't want to do that because that's disingenuous. I have my own system, and I want to showcase it to people to hopefully give them a new perspective on how things might work, what they could do with the cards. So yeah, needless to say, I started my own subreddit, but obviously I'm the only member here. So I mean, nobody bothers joining, and nobody buys my book. I only got one sale so far, and I don't know. It must have been one of my friends, right? But yeah, I just feel like I'm kind of stuck here, and I'm still trying to find the perfect deck for me. Oh yeah, this is another thing. I'll do that some other day, right? I'm still trying to find the perfect deck, but there's literally nothing other than these two decks, like let me see, the Arcana tarot playing cards and the standard playing card tarot deck, and the playing Marseille. But the playing Marseille again does not have the casino quality. Oh yeah, and then there's the Genoese tarot. So I'm really excited to see when that shows up, to do a flip through and a review, and maybe some sample readings, because I do believe that one is one of the best examples of what tarot should start looking like from now on, right? I believe we're way overdue paradigm shift in tarot, right? And we just need we can't keep look. I mean, we can't keep reading. You know, let me show you this. You know, all this crap, right? The witch, modern witch tarot. Who gives a shit? The Dark Mansion tarot. Who the fuck cares? Like the heaven and earth. I don't know. Like the, you know, okay, the Smith Waite Centennial tarot. You know, okay, Rider Waite Smith. I can still understand people still using that. You know, but the fact alone that the Thought Tarot and the Rider Waite Smith are still the two staples of tarot so far, and people barely use anything else, and everything else that comes out is based on usually RWS, but sometimes Thought Tarot, and even more sometimes Tarot de Marseille. But Tarot de Marseille is getting in fashion. You know, it's been getting in fashion like the past, like, I don't know, maybe a decade or so, right? So that's not a bad thing, and it does prove what I'm trying to say, that we're inching in towards this paradigm shift in tarot, right? Why doesn't it load now? Oh, come on. But we can't keep using like Osho Zen Tarot and all this fucking bullshit that's being shoveled to us. It's all shovelware. It's all crap. It's all they're all just pretty cards with like zero thought behind them. I mean, there may be some exceptions here and there, and I mean, I have some of those cards. But look at, like, for example, like fucking Los Carabeo. You know, there are few companies that I despise more than Los Carabeo. They're just absolute fucking charlatans, you know? And all their decks are crap. Like, they have 2, maybe 3 good decks. You know, obviously they have their Marseille decks, right? Their Golden Marseille and their Classic Marseille, their Universal Marseille and stuff like that, which are all I mean, they're just mediocre Marseille decks, right? Then they have all this porn stuff, which is not even interesting. I mean, they have one good erotic deck. That's the or like decent. I wouldn't say good. The what's it called? The Decameron Tarot. You know, that's halfway decent. All the rest is just. I mean, the Casanova Tarot, the Manara Tarot, which doesn't even have any bearing on tarot whatsoever. Here you go, the Decameron deck. Stuff like that. You have this guy here, Fyodor Pavlov. You have that's not Los Carabeo, by the way. You have all this stuff. I mean, you only need one deck to be able to do your job, right? And I'm showing you this one, but like, better yet, just take a fucking, like, you don't even need a tarot deck. You know, just get a fucking bicycle deck. Start learning the pips first before you start like even thinking about designing your own deck. You know, because all this crap is just, you're not gonna use all this. You know, if you look on YouTube, you have all these fucking tarot YouTubers that have like 50,000 decks, and every season, every this and that, they show you their highlights and whatever, and they do walkthroughs. They call them walkthroughs. It's a flip through, guys. A walkthrough is, if you know, when you're writing a guide to a video game, that's a walkthrough. This is a flip through. It's not a walkthrough. You know, or they you know, then they make videos about edging their decks. Yeah, I could edge my fucking decks as well, if you know what I mean. You know, like, come on, guys, get serious. Like, what are we even fucking talking about? You know, do you want to have a practice or do you want to fucking huff your own farts? You know, I don't know. I'm just sick and tired of this shit. I wanna be a serious practitioner. I wrote a fucking book that I'm serious about. I'm passionate about, and I can't get the word out because because I don't have a platform anywhere. You know. Uh, anyway, so that's just all I wanted to say. Um, so yeah, I hope hope that upsets you, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.